Last year, Cabby Fingers and I started our work together on the Sign with Fingers Big and Small campaign in partnership with National Deaf Children's Society. Cabby Don't Work Fingers are made when everyone comes together. But for many people, these moments can be quite isolating as we find ourselves trying to piece bits of the conversation together. We set out to get people learning British Sign Language with everyday phrases so more of us can feel included in the conversation. And just like that, the campaign created awareness of my superpower. I am so excited to announce that this year I get to continue the partnership with Cabby Fingers as they have come on board to help me launch the first ever series of Superpowers with Tasha. Together, we want more people to share their own superpowers so more of us can feel included. As well as providing the best studio snack for me and my guests, getting to work with Cabby Fingers again means we will be reminding you regularly to keep learning a little BSL via the Sign with Fingers hub. You can even learn, would you like a snack? And my answer every time, yes. Head to signwithfingers.cabby.co.uk to start your BSL journey. Hi everyone, welcome back to Superpowers with Tasha, which is myself, and today we've got someone very, very incredible with me. She's an advocate for the blind community. She's an amazing person overall. She's positive, charming. She's absolutely funny as well. She does TikTok content creating, and she's also the first blind presenter on BBC Radio, which is incredible. So I'm very, very excited to introduce to you Lucy Edwards.
Oh, Tash, thank you so much. That was such a cute intro. I love it.
No, thank you
so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Like, honestly, cannot wait to have this chat with you because I've been, watching your TikToks. I've watched some of your YouTube videos, and you just seem incredible. Like,
oh, thank you, honey.
Just the way you are. Like, you just have such an amazing presence, and I just love that.
I absolutely adore what you do too, honey. So, yeah, thanks so much again for having me.
No, thank you. So, tell me a little bit more about you. So where are you from?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more.
Okay, right. So, I'm Lucy Edwards. I am a 5'1" ginger lady, and for anyone blind listening to this podcast, audio description of my outfit, I've got a Zara like light grey, like kind of flowy jumper on. Then I've got like a little tank top that's black underneath, just black leggings, and then some like really suede, quite under the knee boots. So yeah, that's me. I have guide dog Miss Molly under my feet. She's my golden Labrador with gorgeous eyeliner. Just come ready made. Oh my gosh, if everyone had eyeliner ready-made, I'd just be, jealous. So yeah, we're all jealous of Miss Molly. I am a content creator. I'm also a presenter, freelance presenter. And I, as you said, like in your intro, like I do TikToks and all that good jazz, yeah.
Amazing. I just want to say Molly is so cute, by the way. I am, like, when the Molly walked in, I was like, oh my God, we've got a dog today. I just feel like dogs just lift everyone's mood off. I just love it.
Totally agree. That's why all those dog videos go viral, babe. It's like, oh, it's so cute.
So tell me a little bit more about, growing up, and what was it like for you growing up?
As a blind person. I think for me, I was completely like sighted until 11. So I lost my right eye then, like basically just turning into my teenage years, and then I lost my left eye, the sight in it, when I was 17. So I have a really, really rare genetic condition called Incontinentia Pigmenti. It runs down the female line of my genetics, but my mom or my late grandma they're not actually blind from the disease. It's just so happened that it's kind of an abnormality in me. And then I kind of like tried to adapt my life as a blind woman from the age of 17. So this coming month is going to be like my 10-year anniversary of being completely blind, which I've never thought I'd say. Yeah. And I don't know, like there's been highs, there's been lows, there's been everything in between, and I haven't always been this bright and bubbly. Like I always like to just say that to anyone struggling with sight loss right now, that you're not alone. And it hasn't always been like this, but I think as you would say, maybe like strength and determination has got us both through, I guess.
100%. I agree. It's the lows that I always believe that you're given obstacles for a reason is to overcome them. And I think you go through those lows to get stronger each time. You come out the other side so much braver as well. And I think, especially I was born deaf, so I didn't get, become deaf like halfway through my teenage years. I can't imagine how hard that was for you at the time because, was it kind of like a slow process? Did it just happen one morning, or was it just kind of, then it was like more like, happened a bit later on, or, what were the symptoms kind of?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Honestly, I really relate to kind of what you say. Like, as you're deaf from birth, like a lot of people who I'm friends with, they're blind from birth. So it is definitely like a transition, kind of having sight and lost it. I think the mental health side of things, like obviously disability is hard. Yeah. But personally for me, obviously I can't speak for any other blind person. I have definitely had a lot of struggles with my mental health. I actually had a breakdown when I completely lost my sight when I was 17. The doctors and consultants never really knew because my condition was so rare. They never knew whether I would become blind. So there was always that question mark. And I think, I'd always go from age 11 because I'd only had one kind of quote unquote working eye left. Yeah. They would always monitor it and I'd be back and forth from London. I'm originally from Birmingham, all the time. So it's my stomping ground around here. Moorfields Eye Hospital, big up. But I was probably in there more than school at some points. So yeah, like my whole childhood, teenage years was that. And then sort of around the end of my GCSEs, so I was about 16 years old, for anyone who isn't educated in the UK, I actually saw like loads of things in my vision, and I call them floaters. And it's how I kind of get people to understand it is, when you have a camera flash at you and then you have that little thing that doesn't go away and you really want to bat it away out of your vision. Yes. You're like, oh, it's so annoying. I have literally thousands of them and they're all black in my vision. And because they were so normal and then they would go away and then they come back and, I when I was 16, I had a lot more of them, and then it kind of cut a long story short. Really, I had several operations, and the last one it kind of like made me not see. But he had to like, I don't know, squeamish warning. He had to like cut away a little bit of the back of my eye, like the retina, the wallpaper of our eye. Yeah, it's almost like my wallpaper paste was like really, really like not working. It was like all wet and it wouldn't dry, and he was trying to stick it to a wet surface, and then like obviously if you don't have your wallpaper you can't like reflect all of the images of life. So that's me. My wallpaper's a bit crummy, Tash, to be honest. Yeah. So yeah.
So obviously, like, so you growing up, you found it quite hard mentally. So I think also when you're growing up, you're still trying to figure out who you are, and it's like teenage years of like trying to accept yourself. And I used to compare myself in such a negative way to other people. And did you go to a public school? Or?
I did, but I had like a visual impairment unit on the side. Yeah. And I always used to compare myself. I think there's one point when I was like 12, 13, I would be having like mobility lessons with my long cane instructor, Terry, if you're listening, big up. She was amazing, but I was like, Terry, I just really don't want to use my cane. And she'd be like, use it because you'll be more independent. And I hated that thing. Like, it was the thing that was making me different. And now I look back and I'm like, I love being different and I love my fluffy dog. But even when I first got my first guide dog, Olga, Miss Molly's sitting at my feet, but Olgie, bless her, I was like, I don't know if I want to apply for a guide dog when I went blind. And I eventually got Olga at 18, but you have to have your cane skills. You have to know 3 routes. You have to do it. But back then, you just feel so alone, so lost, so confused. You're having all this rehabilitation. I didn't even know, how to cook a meal anymore when I went completely blind. Because, I was adapting for like one-eyed Lucy. Like, she was visually impaired. She didn't have much depth perception. But then, suddenly, bam, 17, like you lose the other eye, and then you think, oh, what now? Like, what does my life become? Like, are all the dreams that I had completely gone out the window? And I think as a person who didn't see themselves on TV represented, like, you just think, oh, I'm just going to shrivel up into a ball and stay in bed because, like, no one wants me or I'm not worth anything. And you think all of these things, like, you're a burden to society. Like, all of these things were running through my head. And I think that's what made me feel really low. It wasn't, I think, I always say to people, I absolutely adore being blind now, but I think it's the stigma and the unknown of going blind, and people are like, oh my God, you're blind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the doom. And I was like, oh, I'm so scared. But now I'm in it, I'm like, cool.
Yeah, now you
know?
just embrace it and own it. Yeah, like, I
so-
love that. And I think, you know, like you were saying, growing up, and you do naturally just kind of feel like a burden in a way, and I completely can relate to that feeling in so many different ways. And obviously our experiences were so different, but I feel like we can align on some experiences we have are quite similar. And I think, you know, now I love being deaf. Like, I honestly love it. Like, mid-argument, I can just take it out and be like, I can't hear you anymore. Like,
literally, we've got to use it. We got to use it, girl. I'm like that. Sorry, what? I can't see you. I'm blind.
oh my gosh, I love that. There's so many times, this sounds really bad, but sorry if my like high school teachers may be watching this, but when I didn't want to go to school, I used to say my cochlear implant broke when actually it didn't, just to miss a day at school.
Oh my God, Tash.
It's so bad, I know, but I've done it so many times.
Oh my God, I love it. This is the thing. Like, I think it's hard, isn't it? Like, a lot of our lives, like, are more difficult if we don't plan, if we don't kind of think of things in advance, and you're like, oh. So when we do feel like particularly tired, like, it is nice to have like that kind of superpower perception of like being able to be like, right, I'm going to whack out my disabled badge and I'm going straight to the front. You know, like at rides, like at the theme parks, like, I'm allowed to go to the front. I'm like, come on, guys, let's ride this ride like 60 times and vom, you know, like those little perks, like, you know, we've got to have them.
Oh, I love that. So recently you went to Kenya, right?
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about Kenya. I want to hear about it.
Okay, right. One, you need to go, babe. Like, it's the best. Like, Africa is like no other place I've ever been. I was out there presenting a documentary for the BBC.
Yeah.
And it was a travel show documentary, and basically it was I pitched about being in the safari completely blind, because there was one point where a good 5 years ago I used to say to my other half, who is now nearly my husband, woo, and I used to say to him, like, if I go on holiday, isn't it like me just sitting in the back garden because I can't see? And he'd be like, no, Lou, like, don't be silly. There's like food, culture. And I didn't believe him because I was just like, oh, I can't bother to spend money. Anyway, flash forward, like, now I'm presenting a doc for the BBC, which is like crazy. And I was standing in Kenya, and there was just all of these smells and these sounds. And I remember walking into the Kenyan museum, where there was like loads of taxidermy animals, and I was able to feel all of the animals that I would actually like hear then on the safari.
Yeah.
And the doc basically followed me exploring the Masai Mara, the river crossings.
Wow.
Like, thousands and thousands of wildebeest like cross from the Tanzania every year around the July period. And the like, I probably should. I should know. I think they have hoops. The little feeties were very, very like stompy, and it was incredible being in the Jeep next to them. So cool.
That sounds amazing. Like, I definitely need to go to Africa. I think I'm going soon, but
are you?
Yeah,
Where are you going?
Cape Town. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is going to be incredible.
I can't wait, but
for holiday or work.
Work.
Yeah.
I wish it was a holiday.
Oh,
but
nice.
Yeah,
12-hour shoot days, babe. Get going.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
No, that sounds amazing. So when does this documentary come out?
So it came out in November on the BBC iPlayer.
Let's watch it.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so cool. Like, it was just the best experience, and it's a 2-parter. So yeah, it's
amazing.
Awesome.
I love that. So I feel like now you're kind of doing things for the blind community. You kind of really, you know, pushing yourself, and, you know, your TikTok as well. I love the fact that you're just yourself and authentically yourself, and you're also funny as well. So I was watching your TikToks, I was like, I just love that. And you kind of talk about misconceptions quite a bit as well, and the stereotypes. So there's quite a few stereotypes around blindness, and how does that make you feel, like, when you have those kind of stereotypes?
I think for me, I don't know if you relate to this, Tash, like, honestly, there was a point where I wouldn't really want to answer questions because I'd be too like, oh my gosh, like why can't people just think I'm normal? But now I feel like I'm in a place to talk about those misconceptions online, and I absolutely adore it. And what I always say is, you know, people know nothing about disability until they're disabled themselves. Like that was certainly my experience of life. So I take people at face value, and for me, a misconception is just a bridge that we're gonna like try and cross together. And eventually, I believe then people will see disability, see the ability in disability, really. So I love that. I love what I do. I've been doing it. I've been doing YouTube all the way through. Like I was training to be a journalist at the BBC as well. So I've been doing it for a good, like, oh my God, since 2014.
Wow.
So nearly 10 years. But TikTok really took off for me during the pandemic. And yeah, I was just writing like loads of little headlines on my phone, like, oh my gosh, how does a blind girl do X? And I was like, everyone's at home. They're probably wondering how like everyone's kind of living in this space of time. Like, everything stopped, didn't it? So I absolutely love it. I love being silly. I love showing that, like, you know, you got to have a sense of humour. Like if I don't pick something up because I can't see it, like I'd rather laugh about it than cry, and that's my motto, really.
No, definitely. And I think, you know, it's really empowering as well to kind of do that. And I think, you know, misconceptions, exactly you're saying, the deaf community, you get, like, I've had so many people think we can't drive, or, you know, people have to shower us when they speak to us, like things like that. It's like, you know, it's all about educating, isn't it? It's all about, you know, the more you educate, the better the world's going to be. And it's a shame sometimes we do have those small-minded people that just won't open their minds, and, you know, trolls is what I'm talking about. And, you know, I experience trolls quite a lot, and ableism and stuff. So I think, you know, it's kind of a crazy world, isn't it? When we're trying to do good, and you have those people that try and bring you down. But, you know, there's days where I'm literally like, I will have a big fat cry, and I'll be like, actually, why am I crying over, you know, some troll? And it's crazy, like how people's impact of words can have on, you know, people.
Honestly, like I honestly think ableism is so rife in our community. And, you know, if people see your comments, if people see my comments, like if we looked at them every day, like we probably wouldn't get out of bed. Because it's like, you know, people don't necessarily understand our reality and how able we can be. Just, you know, like, I think people are scared as well. Like people go, oh my gosh, if I shut my eyes, it's really scary. And I just say, well, I've been practically shutting my eyes for 10 years. So I have adapted to my environment. I know what's around me. You know, my ears don't work better than everyone else's. I have just had lessons from my mobility instructor on how to, you know, really like hone in on the sounds around me to navigate my environment. And, you know, I can just use them better than you. So in one way, like, I don't know, we have a lot more, we're adaptable, we're resilient. Like, you know, having a disabled person on your team, or like hearing their perspective, like is just an asset rather than anything else. And I think people need to stop seeing like all the negatives. I think people really like to see, I always feel segregated sometimes. You know, I feel like, you know, our community is quite segregated because we're not seen as like normal. Like we're kind of seen as, you know, the group that's just in a corner, and like we're seen as very different when really we're all equal. Like we've all got bones underneath. So it's like, why does one little thing different about us make us so different in such a negative way? So I think the world is changing now, I'd like to say. I think especially in the TV world and, you know, the industry that we're kind of in, like content creation and stuff. I feel like it's the platforms are now starting to open up a bit more, and more diversity representation is happening. And I think you're probably the same. Like, I hope it goes in that way, you know, especially on TV. Like, I want to see more representation on TV. So I feel like we're not there yet, you know, in some terms of programs and stuff. And I think we're getting there, but, you know, it's like the baby steps, isn't it? And defo. And you know what? I echo that totally. I am feeling a wave, like in my own personal work. You're probably feeling this too, Tash, that like we're not just seeing disability representation on like quote unquote like typically disabled like shows, or like, you know, just exploring a disabled topic. Like we're seeing more disabled people that come out of their shell, speak about their experience on social media, and then that is bridging the gap. And yeah, I absolutely love that. I think we're going to go from strength to strength. And I mean, also, you know, just with all of the advocacy work I'm doing, like about universal design on packaging, it's not just the disabled community that can, you know, completely benefit from, you know, all the work we're doing. It's like, it's universal design, isn't it? So, you know, and also I feel like disability, like, you know, we're 15% of the world's population, but anyone at any point in their life can become disabled. It's like the only minority group that maybe everyone may be a part of one day. So yeah,
that's so true. That really is true. And yeah, I just think, you know, I just love what you're doing, and you're incredible, Lucy. Like, even talking to you now, you're just so positive. And
thank you, Hern.
And I feel like we need more people like you in as well, like we do, because you just radiate it, and I really respect that about you. So I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw an ad from Pantene and you were on it. So tell me a little bit more about this campaign.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you saw it in the wild. That's so cool. I haven't seen it yet. I basically second year in a row doing their new advert on telly and on TikTok. It's so cool. For the Miracles Colour Gloss range, which I do dye my hair red.
You see it, by the way. Red's your colour.
Thank you so much.
I just need to say it. It is
Thank you, babe. Honestly, like I have low lights of like I'm mousy brown with these like red undertones. So I think when it grows out, like you can't really tell like where my roots start. Anyway, that's what people say. I haven't seen it for 10 years. So, but no, I love it. I love Pantene. I love what they're doing. Like I always shout about the packaging. So so my friend at Procter & Gamble, Sam, she's also blind, the disability lead. Oh my gosh, she has revolutionised packaging with me and the Pantene team, because there's these Navalens codes, and basically they're these like little barcodes which they don't look like traditional barcodes, but the reason that traditional barcodes don't work is because I'm always like swizzling that product and I just don't know where the normal barcode is. My phone doesn't pick it. Whereas Navalens codes, your phone only has to like see like a corner of them because they're all like little geometric shapes. And yeah, basically you can translate into different languages. You just scan this code and with this free app, and then it like reads it all out to you, like all the product information. And I hadn't. But like honestly, I stood in front, like on the trial day doing Navalens with Pantene. I was standing in like this office, and there was like loads of Pantene with Navalens codes on it, and I was just like, I burst into tears because I was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't been able to shop independently for like 9 years. So yeah, it's a massive moment for me to have another year at this, and just love the Pantene team. I love Katie. I love Clara. My other Pantene girls, and yeah, watch this space because more's coming soon.
Yes, I love that. That's incredible.
Thanks,
like,
babe.
They got to Pantene for doing that, because that's, you know, great that, you know, making it more inclusive.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how emotional that was for you, because that moment for you would have been like, you know,
oh my God,
wow, like, you know, this is what you've been waiting for. And I've heard that you have an amazing book coming up.
I do.
Yeah, so tell me more. Like, I want to hear more about this. I think it's amazing.
Thank you, Hern. Oh my gosh. So I don't know how many months of my life I've been writing this book, and it's called Blind Not Broken. It's out in like the link is going to be out in February. And yeah, a few months later we're going to have our big reveal launch.
Amazing.
So really, I talk about everything about my sight loss journey. So like from when I was a little girl, all of my memories that, you know, of me being a sighted girl, all the way through to like how I lost my sight. And I wanted to like give people tips and tricks of what I've learned along the way, like I do with my videos and like my Instagram posts, like basically an extension of my Insta. Like just, I want this book to be a massive resource for anyone who is going through loss and grief and feeling unhappy at the moment. I want it to be like their little like bedside companion to know that people aren't alone. And I would have loved that. I always go back to my why when I'm doing work, and I think, my why is the reason that I do what I do is for all of those little Lucy's out there that didn't have a role model, because I didn't. So I want to be that. I want to be someone that people can, take comfort from my story. So I really did open up, a lot of this book process has been me talking about my traumas, my low moments, like the moment where I had a mental breakdown, the moment, where I got Miss Molly and how I feel about that. So yeah, it's a lot more about me in a lot of words.
Yeah. So I'm getting a bit emotional. I'm literally like getting teary over here.
Bless you.
And I just think, wow. I just think, like you said about little Lucy's, it's like you just want to be that role model to the younger generation because, it's all about them having that someone to look up to and be like, one day I can be like her and do what she's doing. And
Definitely.
the things that you're achieving is just, yeah.
Thank you, Tash.
Like, you should be so proud of yourself.
Oh my God, so same with you. Like, I just think, when people see strong, independent women with disabilities, they often leave out the independent as as a kind of describer for us. And I think we're just so strong, we're so independent, and look at us, like we're businesswomen, we're flying, and we want to show people that we have wings, not that we're like just sitting in bed with a tub of ice cream, like waiting for someone to wait on us. Like, help me, I can't see. Can you read my phone? No, my phone can speak, guys.
Yeah.
I can answer my emails to all those producers. Come knocking on my door, guys.
No, I love that. Like, it's so true. Like, I like what you said earlier. You said the ability and disability. I really like that because it's true. Because we have more abilities because we learn to adapt. We learn to change our ways to live. We learn to we learn so much more, and that makes us so much more skilled as well as human beings. And I think. Like, I can lip read from miles away.
Yeah.
So if someone's having a little gossip about me, I know what you're saying, even though you're like 2 miles away.
Exactly. Tash, this is the thing. People underestimate us, and I think it's time to your podcast is definitely like out there as the shining light to say like, no, don't underestimate me.
Yeah.
Like, this is my work. This is what I do. And, educate yourself because, I think it's not bad that people aren't necessarily educated and have those misconceptions, but once you know that we are amazing and once you know that we are able, you then are an ally, and if you do see ableism out there, like, call it out, because it's
just,
like any minority group, isn't it? We need help. We need allies.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, not many people are educated. And I think that just stems from being in school. Yeah. Like, even when I was in school, I was the only deaf person in my whole school. And we didn't really learn much about accepting, I'll call it superpower to say it's like my superpower, but, like the superpower community. And I think we're not really taught that, they're not any different from us. I think that's why, kids are more vulnerable to getting bullied and stuff because, they don't understand, why they're different and stuff. And I feel like if that was actually taught from such a young age, that everyone's the same. And if someone's got a cochlear implant or someone's blind, that makes them no different. It just makes them, something a little bit different, unique about them. Like, love that and embrace it. And I think if that was kind of more a thing from school, I reckon it would be such a different kind of world. Yeah. Because they're not really taught that. I don't know if it's the same for you, but...
Oh my God, no. I mean, I had a visual impairment unit on the side of my school. Yeah. So it was a little bit different. But yeah, I agree. Like, my whole mentality, I don't know about you, was like, if I just hide my disability for as long as possible, like, no one is going to know that that is a part of me, Yeah. And I look back and I think, that's so sad. That's so sad that, one part of you is completely erased just because you hate it because you think that people are going to judge you for it. And I think, ultimately it's about educating school kids. And I don't know, like, the curriculum needs to change, doesn't it? Like, I think teachers need to kind of put that into action. I know that my videos are played a lot in schools, so possibly that could be like,
That's very true. I think, like, things like that, I think that's when people start to learn. Like, that's when people will be like, okay. Yeah. And, now you understand a little bit more. Like, in school, I used to wear my hair down all the time. I'd never speak about it. Like you said, I'd always hide it. And now I look back, I'm like, Tasha, what were you actually doing? Yeah. And true. that's what I wish I said to my younger self was don't hide from it.
Yeah.
Like show it off.
Yeah.
Like it makes you you
Yeah.
and it makes you, I think it's cool. That's why I say it's like my superpower because I can literally take it out when I want. Like it's so peaceful without it. I really enjoy being deaf and I'm proud to be deaf and you know, you can say the same as well. And I think
Totally.
it's you know, I believe like we were given this gift for a reason to be doing what we're doing now, like using our platforms and using it for the greater good.
Yeah.
And
We have a louder voice, don't we?
Yeah.
Definitely. Because we have personal experience, like we can lean on like everything that we've done, and I don't know, like cool glasses and cool earrings to show off our amazing selves is like never goes amiss, does it?
Yeah.
I remember like I walked the Brits red carpet last year, which was so cool. And my stylist, she was like, next time you go on the Brits red carpet, you have to get your cane wrapped in the same material as your dress. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
yes, I need to. So for the Pride of Britain, I did. And she wrapped it. And I had feathers all at my cane. I was like, yeah. Bless my managers. They were like, my dress was so long. And I was like tripping over it. I was like, oh my God. My cane was keeping me up. But, you know, you can be glamorous and cool. And
I love
disabled.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The fact that you're like, yeah, like with your cane and the fact that it matched your dress, like that is, I never thought of doing that.
Defo. Honestly, also, I'm massively into like manifesting. I'd like my fiance goes, "Oh, what you're manifesting?" I'm like, "It's working, Ollie. It's working. I've got to just put it out to the universe." So I always go, "Oh my gosh, I'd love Miss Molly to like be." The next thing is like having accessories for Miss Molly, putting on a harness and like I don't know, Gucci. I'm coming at you. Do you know what I mean? Having a wrapped guide dog harness, or like, I don't know, like a cochlear implant with Gucci. Like, I don't know. It's just the world's our oyster.
That is so true. I actually, who would I speak to about this? I spoke about that before to one of my friends. I was like, it'd be really cool if like a brand or someone just kind of started designing like cochlear implant covers or like
So
for your
cool.
cane or something. I think that's what we need more of, like inclusivity. I feel like there isn't enough like inclusivity in terms of like our communities. So I feel like that would just be like groundbreaking.
110%. And also like I think people just assume that we don't necessarily want it. Like in someone's like typical stereotype of a blind person or a disabled person or a deaf person, they're like, oh, maybe they would look frumpy. And we're like, no, we also do walk into high street shops, guys. We do, you know, want to look put together. I dye my hair and then I can't see it. Stuff like that. And I don't know, like brands just need to know that the purple pound is massive. Like it's billions and billions of working age adults have a disability, and there's also their carers or their loved ones who also want to buy them a present. So
Yeah.
dollar cha-ching ching.
We're giving an idea for out there.
Please hire us both. We're available.
I love it.
But you know, you've got to put it out there. Like you've got to
Yeah.
keep, I don't know, just keep swimming. That's what Dory says, doesn't she? I'm Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah, she does. She's got to keep swimming. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to read your book. So
Thanks, babe.
that's
I'll
your
send you
motto,
one.
isn't it? Blind, not broken.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to that so much, and you know, I think it's true. Like you're not broken. I think, you know, that's what I'm trying to teach, you know, people out there with superpowers, that you're not broken.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that aren't confident like we are and, you know, are so scared to embrace who they are. And I think it upsets me because it's just like, I don't want them to be like that. I want them to be like, you know, you can achieve that you want to achieve. You put your mind to it, it will never stop you. Like, if anything, it's going to, you know, if the more you embrace it, the more that... The thing is, it does take time though, because for me, I wasn't confident either, like, you know, you were. Like, it took me ages to even be open up and to even talk about it. And I think self-love and building that confidence is a day-by-day thing. It doesn't come to you straight away, you know.
Not at all.
You have to go through the hard times, and that's how you get stronger, and that's how you get, you know, that little bit of confidence. Like I say all the time, you know, for example, I wear your hair up for like 10 minutes in a day, then the next day do 20 minutes. It's all about, you know, setting yourself goals.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get that confidence.
You know what? I love this. I'm like smiling from ear to ear. I'm like, oh my gosh, you preach it. I'm totally the same. Like, you just have to do tiny little things. It is about mental health at the start, you know. If you're suddenly going through sight loss or like understanding yourself after, you know, having a long-term disability and you're suddenly in a new environment and you want to kind of hide away. It's like, I don't know. I used to say to myself every morning, like 5 things that are nice about myself. I didn't believe them. And I was always like, fake it till you make it. And people always say it in the mirror. I was like, I said it to myself. Can't say it in the mirror. But, you know, we work, we move. And, you know, I used to say you're pretty, you're lovely, because a lot of the time we kind of put ourselves down in our head. And I think that's the environment that we're like then trapped in. Like our head is, you know, us, isn't it? And we're in this vessel. We're big meat.
Yeah.
We're big blobs of meat. So we need to like understand that we can change our brain chemistry. But it's, yeah, as you said, it's going to take years and years and years. And I think the first time that I actually felt like I was okay is when I held onto guide dog Olga's harness for the first time and I got a loaf of bread and I just was like, oh my God, I feel normal again. You know, just little things really.
That's amazing. So would you say when you got your guide dog, that's kind of when you really started to, you know, get that confidence in yourself?
Totally. I think that was the one standout moment that I was like, I am so scared to do this. I know I've had weeks of training with my mobility officer and Olga is trained, but I am so scared to just go out on my own. But I think the more you do it, the more like you just feel liberated. You just feel so on top of the world when you've done something for yourself, when you've been in bed for so many like months, not gonna lie, a year probably for me, with tubs of ice cream. And you know, I don't know, like I was just proving to myself every day, even though I was just going to the local shop and it was like a 10-minute walk, I was like, well, yeah, I can do it. And then I'd get in a taxi and then I got into law school and then, you know, that it just bit by bit you kind of like then are in control of your own destiny after that. Did you find that? Like when was your like standout moment of right, this is me?
I think there's actually my biggest one. I went to a dance class and so my cochlear implant used to fall out. I'm a dancer. So it used to fall out when I dance and I used to storm off, get angry, get upset with myself. And there's this one time I did, my best friend's, he's a choreographer and he taught a class in full of like hundreds of people. Then at the end you do it in little groups, you like dance out in groups. And my cochlear implant fell out halfway through. And I carried on. I was still in time with the music. I still was dancing. I was smiling. And that moment clicked for me. And it was that click of like, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that from that moment was kind of like, I started to open my wings and just fly.
Oh,
and
I love that.
I think, you know, you do have that kind of standout moment of like, oh my God, like, this is amazing.
Oh my God, yeah, same. I think it's that, don't you think it's the moment when you just, you're not defined by your disability anymore. You're not like blind Lucy or deaf Tasha. I think I absolutely love that label of being blind. Like I love if someone calls me blind Lucy, but I think for me it's about completely having that self-acceptance from within and externally, not just faking it, about like, yeah, like I don't actually need to see it to be happy. And there was, you know, I'd always like try to squint or like have this like some sort of I always wanted to pretend that being sighted was the best, but actually like black and white thinking is never very good. My psychologist will be proud of me. And you know, there's always grey in life. You know, it's amazing being sighted, but it's amazing being blind. It's amazing being hearing, but it's also amazing being deaf. Like there is no like black or white, yes or no. Like we just all have different experiences. Just like it's amazing being a mom, but it's also amazing not having any children. Like it's just someone's perspective of their own life. And when like I had that epiphany, I was like, right. I think mainly in the past like 5 years. I don't know whether, I think the like getting out of bed with the guide dog, like that was the one moment for me. But I think it was definitely gradual after that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Like how you explained it then is so true. And I go by what you say as well. Don't let my deafness define me. It's not me. Like I don't, like for example, I went on Love Island. All the press articles was first deaf islander. And when I came out, to all of this deaf islander Tasha. And I'm like, I'm not
just
a deaf, you know, I'm Tasha, you know, I've got a name. And I hate being defined like that. Like, that's not who I am. It doesn't define me. And it's just like, we probably get the same as well. And it's just like, why are you defining me
just
by
one thing?
My superpower. It's like, it's a part of me and I love that part of me, but it's not like,
oh my God, I totally agree. It's like writing a headline like, Labrador owner wins Love Island, or like,
literally,
you know what I mean?
literally that.
Pregnant lady. It's like, hello. Like, we all have stereotypes. Like, I'm going to be blind and pregnant one day. Shocker. What will you write as the headline then? You know, it's all like, the late Stella Young always says, like, this is called, she coined the term inspiration porn, and this is what this is. Like, people need to get in the bin. They need to think of more original headlines. And, like, you know, if they stopped writing all of these headlines, this is why I went into journalism. If you stop writing all of these, like, clickbait headlines about, like, what we are, or what, you know, or what people think that we are, I think, honestly, like, people would genuinely see us as, like, quote unquote normal people. I mean, we've already explained, like, what is normal. But I get you. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
preach it.
Yeah, I was just like, great.
Yeah,
like,
first blind Radio 1%. It's like, yeah, I love it. I love that is the case, and I love this representation. But also, like, also just make sure that all technology is, like, accessible, and, like, I don't know, just have standard practices that, like, in 2020 whatever, I think it was like 19 that I did it. Like, why was it this? Like, why was that new? Like, we just need to challenge that. It's great that it was, and it's great that it happened, and I'm really thankful. But I think it's like, when is the time that we transition from being thankful that we get these job roles, and it just be the norm?
Yeah, very true. That is actually so true. And I think, you know, we should be, like, you know, saying, like we're thankful, but at the same time we shouldn't be thankful, because it's like, well, anyone can, you know, have this job. Like, why does us having a job is, like, seen as such a big thing? And it's like, oh, sorry, I hit the mic. And yeah, I think me going on the show, like, obviously I wanted to go on for representation and all these kind of things. And I think, coming out to seeing all those headlines, I was a bit like, okay, we've still got a long way to go in terms of, like, education. But that's what, you know, with us, you know, with followings and stuff, like, that's what we're here to do. Like, we have to, you know, explain to people. And, like, you know, sometimes people, you might literally get the same as well. When someone says to me, I get quite a lot, oh, you don't look deaf.
Oh God, yeah.
And
all
I'm like,
the time. You don't look blind. Or there's someone who says you don't look blind, and then another comment below, like, oh, your eye's really wonky. I'm like, yeah, babe. I can't
people actually say that.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, there's people telling me to die in all of my spam comments, like, because I can't, like, it's wonky. It's so weird. Like, it does, but it's so, like, is it weird that it doesn't affect me? Like, it just doesn't, like, it bounces off. I'm just like, yeah, I think we want, like, I love my eye. I'm going to keep it wonky.
Love it.
To keep irritating you.
Exactly. The joke's on them, because I think it's more, trolls have insecurities, and that's why they, you know, pull it onto us, because I'll never understand how someone could just go on the keyboard and type in die, or I hate your voice, or 1K, or whatever, but you have to read deeper and be like, you know, we're never going to stoop to that level. You know, we keep our head held high. We keep fighting for our community, and, you know, we have a voice, and we are going to use our voice. And people may try and bring us down, but it's all about being like, you know what, you do you, but we're going to do us.
Exactly. And Tash, honestly, like, I know that we see those headlines, like, you know, deaf or blind woman does X. It's just, if we weren't here, like, the person who wants a similar job to us in, like, 10, 15, 20 years time, and they're aspiring to do it, like, hopefully they won't have that headline. So I don't know, we're doing something good.
That is crazy. Oh my God, I never thought of it like that.
It's cool.
Wow.
You're putting yourself in kind of like a new position, but hopefully one day, because of you, it won't be that new. So that's cool. You're amazing.
I love that. No, honestly, you're just amazing. I could talk to you for hours.
Same.
Can we stay here all day?
Yeah, literally.
And just chat.
I need a new cuppa. It's cool.
So I just want to ask, like, what's the best advice you can give to someone right now that, you know, maybe going through a similar thing that you are? Like, what's the best advice you could give?
The best advice is take every day as it comes. Just sit down and understand that your mental health right now might not be in the best state, or you might not have the best frame of mind, but I promise you, if you write down like small little goals every day, bit by bit, like if you know, it will get better. And I remember like when I was really, really poorly, I used to say like, it'll be better in when I do this or X, Y, Z. Try not to like, you know, think of the future too much. Like try and stay in the now, even though it's painful. Talk to your loved ones, and do small achievable goals. Like try not to plan too much in advance. Just say in 2 weeks, I will be able to do X, walk down my road independently. Or, you know, at the end of the day, when we have a disability and we're like rehabilitating, because that's what we're doing. We're surviving. We're not thriving. We only thrive when we've learned all of the skills to, you know, be confident again, and just know that you will thrive one day again.
Wow, you're getting me emotional again, honestly. Like, I just can't. Even I needed to hear that sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, you know, even in our positions, we do have our down days. And I think,
110%.
you know, that's such great advice is patience is key as well. Like, don't be hard on yourself. And it's all about, it's a journey, of course. But I go by the saying, you know, life's a climb, but the view's great.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that.
Climb that mountain, and when you get to the top, like the view is amazing. It's that feeling of like, I did it. Like I went through everything. Like you said, those goals. Like when you achieve that one little goal, you're going to
spiral.
Yeah.
100%. Totally. I love it as well. Like I just think like if we don't have those down days, I believe that we wouldn't experience happiness in the depth that I do anyway. I definitely don't think so. And I think, you know, no one can be happy every single day. And I'll be honest, like I am on antidepressants some months like now, and then not on antidepressants other months, and that is okay because it's medicine. And sometimes you will just need to check in with yourself. I'm proud that I understand my body so much that I can go to the doctor and ask for help. And I think ultimately it's about like checking in with yourself all the time. You know, I'm 10 years blind, but I might, you know, have little roadblocks in my way, like things that will come up and I think, oh, I wish I could see that because I'm only human. But most of the time, most of the days that I wake up, I think, oh, being blind isn't actually that bad and I'm actually quite cool, you know?
Yeah. So. No, I love that. Yeah. You are cool.
Thanks, babe. So are you. Can I have an audio description of your outfit?
Oh, of course. So, oh gosh, how do I explain this? So I'm wearing a cream top and it's like a turtleneck and it's got a cut out at the front and it's backless at the back. It's got like a silver ring.
Cute.
And I'm wearing like grey silvery cargos.
No, love it. Nice.
Kind of like Y2K vibes with some Nike Dunks.
Cute. Nice.
That's like the vibe. I've got going for like kind of cool vibes today.
Nice. Cute.
So I've got one final question I want to ask you. So this is kind of like the final moment. So I just want to ask you, like, I know what your superpower is, but I want to ask you, what would you define as your superpower?
Oh my gosh. I feel like because a lot of the world, like 55% of our communication is visual, I would say like knowing a warm person, like knowing like some like really understanding someone's soul and heart from a few combos. Like I feel like I know you deeper talking to you now, Tash, and I don't feel like I need to see you, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, what's that? Like reading voices is my superpower?
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Reading voices. I like that. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Honestly, Lucy, thank you so much for coming on today. And I feel so inspired talking to you. And it's nice that we've got different communities, but we still can relate on so many different levels. And I love that. And keep doing what you're doing because you're honestly breaking boundaries. You're breaking down the stigma, stereotypes, and that's what it's about. And yeah, honestly, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Gorge. Speak to you soon.